Right now, in March 2026, 50 Cent is doing what 50 Cent has always done best. Destroying people. But not with bars. Not with a diss track. Not with anything remotely resembling rap music. No, he's doing it with a random dude on the internet who claims he was sleeping with Papoose's girl. And I need you to understand something. I need you to really let this sink in. This might be the single most disrespectful move in the history of hip-hop beef. And I do not say that lightly. I have studied this genre for years. I have watched every major beef unfold in real time. And what is happening right now is unlike anything we have ever seen before. Not because of what was said, because of what it means. 50 Cent looked at Papoose's 5-minute surgical diss record, a lyrical assassination called Agent Provocateur, one of the hardest disses thrown at Fif in years, a record that had the entire hip-hop internet rewinding bars and breaking down every single line. And his response was to find some guy named Maserati Bud, put him on camera, and let him talk about being inside Clarissa Shields' house on Christmas. That's the response. That's the bar. That is what one of the most legendary figures in hip-hop history chose as his answer to a lyrical challenge. And before we go any further, you need to leave a like and subscribe right now because 50's team does not want this kind of breakdown getting traction, and the only way we push through is if you help this video reach the people who need to see it. I am telling you right now, videos like this get suppressed. They get buried. The only thing that fights that is you pressing that button. Because what I'm about to walk you through is deeper than petty. It's deeper than gossip. It's deeper than internet drama. It's a masterclass in psychological warfare. And by the end of this video, you are going to see this entire situation in a way that nobody else is talking about. Let us be very clear about what is happening right now. Because if you only heard pieces of this story, if you only caught the headlines, if you only saw a few posts on social media, you missed the whole thing. You missed the context that makes this one of the most significant moments in modern hip-hop beef history. Let us go back. Papoose. One of the most technically gifted lyricists that New York hip-hop has ever produced. A man who has been in the game for decades. A man who has survived every era of this genre and come out the other side with his pen still sharp. A man who understands bars, who understands cadence, who understands the architecture of a diss record better than 95% of the people who have ever picked up a microphone. And he came for 50 Cent. He did not come light. He did not come with a subtweet. He did not come with a subliminal on an Instagram story. He came with Agent Provocateur. 5 minutes. Every bar landing like a hammer. Every line calculated. Every word chosen with surgical precision. Every metaphor layered with double and triple meanings that rewarded you more the deeper you listened. And the hip-hop world stopped. Because when Papoose decides to rap, when he actually sits down and decides to put pen to paper with intent, you listen. This is not some random challenger off the street. This is not some clout chaser trying to get a reaction. This is a man with credibility. A man with history. A man with receipts. A man with a catalog that speaks for itself. Now, for those who do not know the full scope of what we are dealing with here, let me break this down properly. Because this story has layers that most people are not even aware of. 50 Cent built his entire legacy on beef culture. That is not an insult. That is not a criticism. That is just facts. That is just the documented, observable truth of how his career was constructed. From his very early days coming up through the streets of Queens, from the moment he first stepped into a recording booth with a chip on his shoulder, the man weaponized conflict like nobody else in the history of this genre. He went at Ja Rule and helped dismantle an entire career. He went at Jadakiss. He went at Fat Joe. He went at Cameron. He went at Rick Ross. He went at anyone and everyone who stood in his path. He has been in more public beefs than almost any artist in hip-hop history. And every single time, without exception, his weapon of choice was the same. He would get in your head. He would find what you love. He would find what you fear. He would find the thing you are most insecure about. And he would use it against you with zero mercy and zero hesitation. That is the 50 Cent formula. That has always been the 50 Cent formula. It has worked for over 2 decades. So when Papoose stepped to him, he knew what he was getting into. Or at least he thought he did. But here is where things start to get interesting. Here is where the story takes a turn that nobody predicted. Because 50's first response to Agent Provocateur was to say he was not going to respond. He said Papoose cannot make a hit record. He said this is beneath him. He said he is not doing this. He said the man is irrelevant. And the internet laughed. Because that statement itself was a response. You cannot say you are not responding while actively responding. That is not how language works. That is not how logic works. That is not how any of this works. But see, that was only the beginning. Because 5-0 was not done. Not even close. Not by a long shot. In a rap game where people have been constantly asking where is the 50 Cent of old? Where is the 50 who would burn everything down? Where is the ruthless competitor who made entire record labels tremble? Right now, in this moment, we are getting a version of 50 Cent that has traded the mic for a phone. That has traded the booth for the comment section. That has traded the pen for the post button. And the question everyone is asking right now is simple. Is this genius? Or is this an absolute disaster? Because as 50 Cent fans and as hip-hop observers, outside of all the noise, outside of all the memes, outside of all the trolling, outside of all the social media chaos, there is a real conversation happening here about what it means to battle in 2025. About what it means to be a legend who refuses to pick up a pen. About what it means when one of the greatest to ever do it decides that the internet is more powerful than a verse. This record, this moment, this entire confrontation is one of the most important things happening in hip-hop culture right now. And I promise you, by the time we are done here today, you are going to understand why. And well, you can already see the results just from the conversation it is generating. Let us start with the most important thing. The thing everyone is dancing around. The thing nobody wants to say out loud. The thing that people are afraid to type in the comments because they know what the 50 Cent fanbase is like. 50 Cent is losing the rap battle. Say it with me. 50 Cent is losing the rap battle right now. And he knows it. Deep down, in the part of his mind that still remembers what it felt like to write Many Men, he knows it. And that is exactly why he is doing what he is doing. See, this is not random behavior. This is not a man who just stumbled onto social media and started posting. This is not chaos. This is a calculated, deliberate, precise strategy. Because 50 Cent does not do anything by accident. He never has. Not once in his entire career. Going back to when he was selling mixtapes out of his trunk. Going back to how he positioned himself before Get Rich or Die Tryin' dropped. Going back to how he played the Ja Rule situation like a fiddle. Going back to every single power move he has made in his career, the man is always playing chess. But here is the difference. Here is the critical distinction that changes everything. Right now, he might be playing chess on the wrong board, because Papoose came with bars. Real bars. 5 minutes of technical, lyrical, substantive hip-hop. The kind of bars that make other rappers go back and rethink their entire approach. And 50 came back with memes. Now let us talk about the memes for a second, because I want to be fair here. I want to be completely honest about this. The memes are funny. I am not going to sit here and pretend the memes are not funny. Some of them are genuinely hilarious. 50 Cent has always been the king of internet trolling. He was doing this before trolling was even a concept. He was the pioneer. The man was posting videos of other rappers falling asleep on private jets before anyone even understood what viral content was. He was clowning people on the internet before most rappers even had social media accounts. So this is not new behavior. This is 50 doing what 50 does. This is the playbook. But here is the thing. Here is where it gets complicated. Here is where the fun stops and the reality sets in. When you are in a rap battle and someone drops 5 minutes of bars at you, 5 minutes of lyrical precision aimed directly at your legacy, memes are not an equivalent response. They're just not. They never will be. And the hip-hop community knows this. The streets know this. The culture knows this. The OGs know this. The young kids know this. Everybody knows this. And that is why the conversation has shifted. That is why people are starting to ask the question that nobody was asking 2 weeks ago. The question that would have gotten you laughed out of any room a month ago. Has 50 Cent lost his pen? Now hold on. Hold on. Before the 50 Cent fans come for me, hold on. Because 50 did drop something. He did release a track. And I want to give credit where credit is due. It was actually a good song. The rapping was there. The energy was there. The 50 Cent of old was showing up in glimpses. You could hear flashes of the man who made the entire industry shake. But then people started digging, and they found out it was an old record. A vault drop. Something he had already made. Something that was sitting on a hard drive somewhere, collecting digital dust. And that changes the conversation entirely. Because if you are in a live, active beef, a real-time, ongoing confrontation, and your response is to go into your archives instead of sitting down and writing something new, something fresh, something specific, something that addresses the actual bars that were thrown at you, that tells you something. That tells you something important. That tells you the pen might not be where it used to be. And I am not saying that to clown on 50. I am not saying that to disrespect a legend. I am saying that because it matters. It matters for the story. It matters for the history of this thing. It matters for understanding what is really happening beneath the surface. Now the Maxby collab. Those AI visuals. No more tricks. Look, I respect 50 Cent's business acumen. I always have. The man is a genius when it comes to branding and content and staying relevant. But those AI visuals were not it. I am going to say that clearly and directly. They were not it. They felt rushed. They felt like a distraction. They felt like someone trying to change the subject. And even the people who ride hard for 50, the day one fans who will defend him to the death, knew it. But now here is where things really do get big. Here is where this story goes from a hip-hop beef to something that is going to be talked about for years. Because 50 was not satisfied with memes. He was not satisfied with old songs. He was not satisfied with AI visuals. He was not satisfied with any of the conventional tools in his arsenal. He went somewhere else entirely. He crossed a line that most people did not think he would cross. He found a man named Maserati Bud. And let us take a second to process that name. Maserati Bud. A name that none of us had ever heard before this week. A name that was not in anyone's vocabulary 7 days ago. This man came on camera. This man made a video. He looked directly into the lens. And in this video, he claimed to have been with Clarissa Shields, Papoose's wife, at Christmas, on one of the most sacred family holidays of the year, inside her home, sitting in the chair that Papoose helped pick out, on the bed that Papoose chose, in the space that was supposed to be their sanctuary. And he said he had Ring camera footage. He said he had proof. He said he was going to release everything. He said the receipts were coming. And the internet went completely silent for about 4 seconds before it exploded. Before every single platform, every single comment section, every single group chat erupted simultaneously. Now I need to stop here, because I need to address something important. Something that goes beyond just the beef. Something that goes beyond rap music entirely. There is a man code issue happening in real time, right in front of us. Right in front of the entire world. And whether you ride for 50 or you ride for Papoose, whether you have a side in this or you are just watching from the outside, if you were raised with any kind of code, any kind of principles, any kind of understanding of how things are supposed to go between men, you have to acknowledge what is wrong with this picture. See, the original commentator made this point, and it was the most important thing said in this entire discussion. It was the one observation that cut through all the noise. If something happened between you and someone's significant other, and you decide to go to the internet with it, not to your boys, not in private, not in confidence, but to the entire world, especially in the context of someone else's beef, especially as a weapon in someone else's war, that is not G behavior. That is not street behavior. That is not even human behavior that deserves respect. That is something else entirely. That is a violation of something fundamental. And I am going to tell you a story that I think about every single time I see something like this. In high school, there is always that one dude. You know who I am talking about. Every single person watching this video right now knows exactly who I am talking about. The dude who spent the entire freshman year talking about a girl, telling everyone what he did, telling everyone what she said, telling everyone all of it, every detail, every conversation, broadcasting it to anyone who would listen. And then sophomore year comes. She transfers to the school. She walks up to the lunch table. And she says point blank in front of everyone, in front of the whole cafeteria, "Why have you been telling people we were together? We were never together." That face, that moment, that secondhand embarrassment, that feeling of watching someone's entire story collapse in real time. It never leaves you. And I think about that story every time I see a man go on the internet and start talking about a woman's personal life to win a rap argument. Because even if it is true, even if every single thing you are saying is factual, even if you have every receipt in the world, the fact that you are saying it, the fact that you chose to weaponize it, tells me more about you than it tells me about her. Now let us talk about the strategic layer here. Because I want to give 50 every possible benefit of the doubt. I want to be as generous as I possibly can in interpreting what is happening. And the question I keep coming back to is this. Is this a setup? Is this all part of a larger plan? Is 50 Cent intentionally building a psychological demolition that is going to culminate in the most devastating diss track anyone has ever heard? Because if that is the play, if all of this, every single post, every single meme, the Maserati Bud video, the trolling, the provocations, If all of this is just preamble for a full response record where 50 comes in and addresses Mayo, Papoose, Jim Jones, all of them in one devastating shot, then maybe this makes sense. Maybe this is 50 playing the long game. Maybe we are all falling for it. Because here is what 50 understands better than most artists alive. He understands that the internet has a news cycle. He understands the rhythm of attention. He understands that by the time he drops his response verse, the emotional temperature of the audience needs to be at maximum. He needs everyone leaning in. He needs everyone paying attention. He needs every eye on him. And what better way to do that than to drip-feed controversy one post at a time until the moment he finally shows up with something official. That is actually genius if that is the plan. That is actually a masterclass in content strategy. But here is the problem. Here is the massive, glaring, undeniable problem. Right now, in this moment, standing in this moment, we do not have the verse yet. And every day that passes without the verse, every single hour that ticks by without a real lyrical response, the more the balance tilts toward Papoose. And at some point, the window closes. At some point, the moment passes. And you cannot get it back. Let us talk about Clarissa Shields for a moment. Because she deserves to be talked about with respect. She deserves to be discussed as who she actually is, not as a prop in someone else's story. This is a woman who is an Olympic gold medalist, a world champion boxer, one of the most decorated American athletes of her generation, a woman who has achieved things in her sport that most people can only dream of, a woman who has represented her country on the world stage and won. And right now, because of a rap beef between her husband and a man who refuses to rap back, her name is being dragged through the internet. Her reputation is being used as a chess piece. Her personal life is being turned into content. And I keep asking myself, why? Why go at Clarissa? If your issue is with Papoose, go at Papoose. Write bars about Papoose. Expose Papoose. Challenge Papoose on the mic where it matters. But the moment you pivot to a man's wife, especially a wife who is an accomplished champion in her own right, especially a woman who earned everything she has through discipline and sacrifice, you are not battling anymore. You are doing something different. You are trying to cause personal pain. You are trying to destroy something that has nothing to do with music. You are trying to hit below the belt. And in the culture, there are supposed to be rules about that. Unwritten rules, yes. But rules that most people understand. Rules that have existed since the beginning of this genre. And when you break those rules, the way people see you changes. And you cannot get that back. No amount of trolling fixes that. No amount of memes erases that. Now there is another layer to this that almost nobody is talking about. And I need to bring this up because it is critical to understanding the full picture. The Easy and Remy situation. Remember that. Hold that in your head. Because if these allegations about Clarissa have any truth to them, and I want to be very clear, there is no evidence right now, there is no proof, there is no verified footage, there is no confirmed documentation, we have not seen anything confirmed. But if these allegations have any truth to them, that is a very, very bad sandwich for Papoose. Because you cannot be the rapper who goes at someone while your own house is allegedly in disarray. It does not work. It has never worked. The streets do not let that slide. The internet does not let that slide. The culture has a long memory for that kind of contradiction. And 50 Cent knows this. 50 Cent is playing to the perception. He is not trying to prove anything in a court of law. He does not need to. He just needs to plant the seed. He just needs to create enough doubt. He just needs to make people start whispering. He just needs to shift the conversation from his inability to respond lyrically to questions about Papoose's personal life. And once the whispers start, they are almost impossible to stop. That is the dark genius of what is happening here. Now let us talk about Papoose's response to 50's non-rap responses. Because Pap did not take this lying down. Papoose is not the kind of man who sits quietly while someone attacks his family. Papoose came back and said directly, "We do not want to see any more reposted corny memes until you spin a hot verse. That thing you just dropped was trash. And that is a shot. That is a real, direct, clear, unambiguous shot. That is a man looking another man in the eye through the internet and telling him the truth. He is essentially saying your rapping is not good enough right now. Your pen is not what it was. Your music is not holding up." And the fact that he said it publicly, the fact that he is calling out the quality of the work, the fact that he did it without flinching, that is a different kind of disrespect than just a diss track. That is a professional critique. That is an artist telling another artist that their craft has slipped. And for someone with 50 Cent's legacy, that should sting more than any personal attack. That should burn more than any meme or any allegation. Because 50 built his entire identity on being better than you on wax. That was always the promise. That was always the contract with the audience. You might have more money. You might have more features. You might have more connections. You might have more industry support. But on the mic, 50 would find you. 50 would dismantle you. 50 would make you wish you had never said his name. And now someone is saying he cannot find anyone anymore. And the silence where a response verse should be is starting to speak louder than anything else. Here is what I need to address directly. The algorithm comment. 50 Cent keeps referencing the algorithm. He keeps talking about it. He keeps using it as almost a justification for the strategy he is employing. He keeps pointing to engagement numbers and reach and impressions as if those metrics tell the whole story. And look, he is not wrong. The man understands content. He understands virality. He understands that engagement is currency. He has proven that over and over again. He has built an entire media empire on that understanding. But here is the thing about the algorithm. The algorithm rewards engagement. It rewards reactions. It rewards people talking about you. It rewards controversy. It rewards shock. It does not care about context. It does not care about who is right or who is wrong. It just measures attention. And right now, people are absolutely talking about 50 Cent. So from a pure content strategy standpoint, he is winning. From a numbers standpoint, from a views standpoint, from a mentions standpoint, from a pure data perspective, he is winning. But from a rap standpoint, from a lyrical standpoint, from a legacy standpoint, from the standpoint of what hip-hop has always valued, the scoreboard looks different. The scoreboard looks very different. And that tension, that gap between content success and rap credibility, that divide between going viral and actually being respected, is exactly what makes this moment so fascinating. It is exactly what makes this the most important hip-hop beef happening right now. Let us talk about the history for a second, because context matters. History matters. And this is not the first time 50 Cent has navigated a beef like this. When 50 went at Ja Rule, he did not just rap at him. He attacked the brand. He attacked the image. He went after Murder Incorporated. He went after the whole machine. He went after the label, the artists, the infrastructure, everything. He fought on every front simultaneously. And it worked. It worked spectacularly. It worked in a way that redefined what beef could be. Because at the time, 50 was also releasing hit records. Get Rich or Die Tryin' was a cultural phenomenon. Indie Club was everywhere. So every attack he made against Ja Rule was backed by the weight of undeniable commercial success. People could see with their own eyes that 50 Cent was winning. The music was winning. The tours were winning. The numbers were winning. The quality was winning. And Ja Rule had no answer for all of that. There was nothing to say. But the difference between that situation and this one is the music. In 2003, 2004, 50 had the music. He had the ammunition. He had the firepower to back up every single thing he said. Right now, the music is not doing what it needs to do to back up the aggression. And without the music holding everything up, without fresh, undeniable bars supporting the strategy, the trolling starts to look like desperation. Even when it is not. Even when there might be a plan behind it. The optics are brutal. Now the psychological warfare element. I need to really sit in this for a moment. Because this is the part of the story that most people are not paying attention to. 50 Cent was genuinely told before any of this public stuff to stand down. There was apparently a conversation. A real conversation between people who know him. Between people who care about him. Between people who were trying to tell him to let this one go. To not take the bait. To not get into a public war over personal matters. To protect what he has built. And 50's response to that advice was essentially to go even harder. To double down. To triple down. Because that is who he is. That is the defining characteristic of 50 Cent that has both made him and sometimes worked against him. He does not back down. He does not accept the off-ramp. He does not know how to take the exit. When someone tells him to de-escalate, he escalates. When someone tells him to go right, he goes left. When someone builds him a bridge to walk away, he burns it. And as his fan, as someone who has watched his career from the beginning, that quality is part of why you love him. It is part of what makes 50 Cent 50 Cent. But in this specific situation, in this specific moment, with these specific circumstances, it might be working against him. Because there is a difference between not backing down from a rapper and not backing down from advice that protects your legacy. And right now, those two things are getting confused. And the consequences of that confusion could be significant. let us also address what is happening on Papoose's side of this. Because I want to be balanced here. I want to give both sides their fair assessment. Papoose coming out with Agent Provocateur was not just about ego. This was not just about clout. This was about proving something. This was about a man who has been undervalued by the mainstream hip-hop conversation for the better part of 15 years. Maybe longer. Papoose is one of those artists who the people who pay attention, the real students of the game, the people who actually care about lyrics, have always known as elite. But the mainstream never gave him his full flowers. The mainstream never acknowledged what he brings to the table. And part of that is industry politics. Part of that is timing. Part of that is the changing landscape of hip-hop. Part of that is just the randomness of how fame works. But you can feel the hunger in that record. You can feel every single year of being overlooked in every single bar he dropped. You can feel the frustration. You can feel the determination. You can feel the years of being told he was not big enough, not commercial enough, not relevant enough. And when an artist drops something from that place, from that deep reservoir of real emotion, from that place of genuine artistic purpose, it lands differently. It resonates. It sticks. It stays with you. And the people who heard it felt it. Every single one of them felt it. And here is where things really get interesting. Here is where the story takes its most dramatic turn. The Maserati Bud video. Let us go back to it. Let us really dissect it. Let us pull it apart piece by piece. Because the way this video was positioned is fascinating. This man gets on camera. He identifies himself. He uses his name. He says he was at Clarissa's home on Christmas. He says he was in the chair. He was there when Papoose was supposedly on FaceTime. He has Ring camera footage. He says he has receipts. And he says he is going to release it. He says the proof is coming. Now, here is the question that everybody should be asking, but most people are skating past. The question that should be at the center of this entire conversation. Where is the footage? Where is the Ring camera video? Where are the receipts? Because the video of this man saying he has footage is not the footage. A man claiming to have evidence is not the evidence. A promise of proof is not proof. And in 2025, in the culture of receipts, in the era where screenshots get fact-checked in real time, in the world where people will find your old tweets from 2013 in under 7 minutes, in an age where nothing stays hidden for long, you cannot just say you have something. You have to produce it. You have to show it. You have to put it on the table. And right now, that footage does not exist in public. And until it does, everything this man said is just a story. A very specific, detailed, compelling story. A story told with confidence and specificity. But still just a story. And stories without evidence are just words. Now here is a thought that I think is worth sitting with. A thought that I think changes how you see everything. 50 Cent dropped this man's video. He amplified it. He pushed it out to his massive platform. To his millions and millions of followers. He captioned it. He pointed at it. He put a spotlight on it. And in doing so, he essentially co-signed everything this man said. He put his brand behind an unverified claim. He put his name next to an allegation with no current evidence. He put his reputation alongside a stranger's word. And if that evidence never surfaces, or if it comes out and it is not what this man claimed, or if this entire thing falls apart under scrutiny, then 50 Cent does not just look petty. He looks like he was willing to use an unverified story to attack a man's marriage, to weaponize a rumor against a family. And that is a different level of behavior. That is not trolling anymore. That is something heavier. That is something with real consequences for real people. And 50 is a smart enough man to know that. He has been in the game too long not to understand the implications. Which either means he knows the evidence is coming, and this is all building to something devastating, something that will justify every single move he has made, or it means the heat of the beef made him move faster than he should have. And both of those possibilities are fascinating. Let us also talk about what this looks like to the neutral observer. Because not everyone watching this story is a Papoose fan. Not everyone watching this story is a 50 Cent fan. Some people are just hip-hop fans. Some people are just culture watchers. Some people have no allegiance to either side and are simply watching this unfold with clear eyes. And what the neutral observer sees right now is this. A man dropped a 5-minute diss track. A surgical, precise, technically brilliant 5-minute diss track. The person he dissed responded with a claim that he cannot make a hit record, a series of memes, an old vault song that was not even written for this beef, an AI video that felt rushed and unconvincing, and a stranger on camera making unverified claims about his wife. When you lay it out like that, without any allegiances, without any bias, without any emotional investment in either side, the scoreboard is not close. It is not even in the same zip code. And that is the uncomfortable truth that some people are not ready to accept. But it is the truth. And this channel will always give you the truth. But here is where I want to challenge the narrative. Here is where I want to push against the easy conclusion. Because here is something that I think is actually underappreciated in this whole discussion. The attention dynamic. See, in 2025, attention is the most valuable currency in entertainment. More valuable than chart positions. More valuable than Grammys. More valuable than critical acclaim. More valuable than peer respect. Because attention converts to streams. Attention converts to ticket sales. Attention converts to brand deals. Attention converts to relevance. Attention converts to power. And right now, today, this very moment, 50 Cent has maximum attention. Every podcast is talking about him. Every comment section is debating him. Every barbershop, every group chat, every hip-hop page, every YouTube channel, every Twitter thread has something to say about 50 Cent. And Papoose, despite dropping what many consider the better lyrical performance, despite delivering what might be one of the best diss tracks of the decade, does not have that same level of mainstream attention. That is just the reality. That is just the math. So in the attention economy, 50 is winning. But is attention the same as winning a beef? Is being the most talked about person the same as being the person who was right? Is generating the most clicks the same as earning the most respect? And that question, that genuine philosophical question about what winning means in the modern era, is what makes this moment so much more interesting than just two rappers going back and forth. This is bigger than them. This is about all of us. So where does this go from here? What does the rest of this story look like? What happens next in what might be the most significant hip-hop beef of 2025? Because we are clearly not at the end. We are somewhere in the middle of this. Maybe not even the middle. Maybe we are still in the early chapters. And based on everything we have seen, based on every pattern I have observed, here is what I believe is coming. If 50 Cent does not drop a direct, substantial, lyrical response within the next week or two, the narrative hardens. It becomes the established story. It becomes the thing that people reference for years. 50 Cent refused to rap. 50 Cent went to personal attacks instead of picking up a pen. 50 Cent used an unverified stranger to go after a woman. 50 Cent chose memes over music. And no amount of memes or trolling or algorithm games fixes that narrative once it sets. Once it solidifies, it becomes permanent. Legacy is fragile. Legacy is built over decades, but it can be reshaped by moments. And this is a moment. This is one of those moments that people will look back on. Now on the flip side, if 50 Cent drops a full response record, if he goes into the studio with purpose and intent, if he addresses Papoose, Mayo, Jim Jones, all of them, with the bars that we know he is capable of, with the precision that made him a legend, with the energy that defined an entire era of hip-hop, and then on top of that drops whatever evidence may be coming about the Clarissa situation, then the entire narrative flips. Then everything looks like strategy. Then everything looks like chess. Then everything looks like the work of a mastermind. Then the memes were just warming the crowd. Then the Maserati Bud video was just softening the target. Then every single thing he did becomes a scene in a movie where he was always the hero. Where he was always 10 steps ahead. Because that is the thing about 50 Cent. His ceiling is still generational. His potential output in a focused, motivated state is still among the best in the game. The talent has not left. The ability is still there somewhere. He just has to actually show up to make that true. He just has to actually sit down and write. Now for Papoose, this moment matters enormously too. Because regardless of what happens next, regardless of how this story ends, he has already changed how people talk about him. He stepped into a fight that most people would have walked away from. He stepped up to one of the most powerful figures in hip-hop history, and he did not flinch. He brought technical skill. He brought research. He brought genuine artistry. He brought everything he had, and he did not blink. Whether this story ends in his favor or not, whether the culture ultimately sides with him or not, Papoose has reminded the culture that he is not a footnote. He is a chapter, a significant, undeniable chapter. And that has real implications for his career going forward. That has real implications for how history remembers him. Now let us talk about what this means for hip-hop broadly. Because this is not just about two individuals. This is not just about 50 Cent and Papoose. This is about a conversation the culture has been having for a very long time. A conversation that has been building for years. What do we value? Do we value bars or do we value virality? Do we value craft or do we value clout? Do we value the art of the diss record as one of the most important traditions in hip-hop history, or do we accept that the internet age has fundamentally changed what beef even is? Has the definition of winning been rewritten? Has the culture shifted so far that engagement metrics have replaced lyrical ability as the measure of who won? Because if 50 Cent can go almost entirely comment section warfare and still maintain his position as a cultural force, that tells us something about where we are. And it should make us think. It should make the culture think long and hard about what it is actually rewarding, about what we are encouraging when we engage with this content. And for the people who keep saying 50 is winning the war even if he is losing the battle, I want to push back on that gently. I want to push back on that with respect, but with clarity. Because the war in hip-hop is not about click counts. The war in hip-hop has always been about respect. And respect, real hip-hop respect, the kind of respect that lasts, the kind of respect that gets passed down, is still earned the same way it has always been earned. In the booth, on the track, in the bars, between the lines, in the cadence and the delivery and the pen game. And until 50 Cent shows up in that arena with something real, something new, something written specifically for this moment, something that proves the pen is still there, the respect question is going to keep lingering. It is going to keep following him. It is going to keep being the first thing people bring up. The stakes of this moment are enormous, not just for these two artists, but for what the culture decides to celebrate and what the culture decides to dismiss. Because our choices as an audience shape what artists do next. They always have. They always will. And right now the culture is watching. The culture is deciding. And what we decide here, what we choose to reward and what we choose to reject, is going to reverberate. It is going to echo through everything that comes next. And so now with all of that said, let me know what you are thinking in the comments. I genuinely want to hear from you. Where do you stand on this? Do you think 50 Cent is playing a long game here, setting up the most devastating response record we have seen in years? Or do you think this is genuine avoidance of a lyrical battle he is not confident he can win? Do you think Papoose deserves more credit from the mainstream for what he did with Agent Provocateur? Does Agent Provocateur deserve to be in the conversation for best diss track of the decade? And what does it mean for hip-hop culture when social media warfare gets treated as equivalent to actual rapping? What happens to the art form when memes replace bars? What does this whole situation mean for 50 Cent's legacy? Is one moment like this enough to change how history judges him? Or does the legend protect itself? Can a career as monumental as 50 Cent's survive a moment where he refused to rap? Let me know your thoughts on all of this in the comments below. I genuinely want to know where you stand. Every single opinion matters. Because this conversation is too big for just one person. This conversation needs all of us. If you made it to this point in the video, first of all, respect. Genuine respect. You are the reason I do this. You are the reason this channel exists. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe. It helps more than you know. It puts this in front of more people who need to see it. And this is a story that needs to be seen. This is a story that needs to be discussed by as many people as possible. I cannot thank you enough for watching. Your support means absolutely everything. It means the world. But in the meantime, if you want to see how the last time a legend refused to answer a challenge changed the entire power structure of New York hip-hop forever, well, you are not going to want to miss that one. Trust me on that. So check out the suggested video. We're just getting started. This story is far from over. And neither are we.